Thank you for tuning in. You're in for an educational treat. What's the worst thing that's happened to one of your friends? He was helping an elderly couple with chores around the house to help support his new family. They had 2 adult children. They were both in town at the time. The son shot his sister, his parents, and then my friend, and put the gun in his hand and pinned it all on him. Didn't take long to prove who done it, but not after his name was tarnished. She worked as a bartender and her fiancé came in drunk out of his mind and acting strange. She had to tell him she couldn't serve him. He left upset. She went home a few hours later and found him trying to rape her teen daughter. My friend fought him. He cut open her face from forehead to chin. She said she could see her own facial bones. He held them hostage for hours. She knocked him out with a bat and carried her daughter, banging on all the neighbors' doors. Finally someone opened up and got the cops. He was on the run for a while but finally caught. Her piece of poop ex-fiancé was sentenced to 58 years. She has a huge deep scar on her face. Her daughter is still a sweet young lady who has kept a positive mindset. I'm glad that she is still positive after what would be quite a traumatizing experience. She worked as a bartender and her fiancé came in drunk out of his mind and acting strange. She had to tell him she couldn't serve him. He left upset. She went home a few hours later and found him trying to rape her teen daughter. My friend fought him. He cut open her face from forehead to chin. She said she could see her own facial bones. He held them hostage for hours. She knocked him out with a bat and carried her daughter, banging on all the neighbors' doors. Finally someone opened up and got the cops. He was on the run for a while but finally caught. Her piece of crap ex-fiancé was sentenced to 58 years. She has a huge deep scar on her face. Her daughter is still a sweet young lady who has kept a positive mindset. A friend in high school was hit by a car and dragged a couple of 100 yards before he died. The driver was drunk and on coke. It was 8 a.m. when it happened. My friend was on his way to school. Went to school, GR 5-12, with a guy that something similar to this happened to him. He was working at a bar, went to break up a fight outside and some girl in her early 20s hit him with her car. It dragged him several blocks. He lives in a long-term care facility now, can pretty much only blink, total care. I found this out because I started working there as a nurse. Tried to swim to shore from a sailboat in Lake Michigan. She was a strong swimmer, but even in the summer hypothermia is a threat. They didn't find her body for several weeks, and during that time famous fake psychic Sylvia fucking Brown told the family she was alive and being held on a boat against her will. Still miss you, Julie. Finished a workout at the gym and collapsed on his way out. Brain aneurysm. He was dead 6 days later. Happened to my uncle. He had just had a physical and dropped dead in the parking lot on his way to his car. So many in the news. There's a guy in my city who runs a small educational nature/environment-based nonprofit. He was from a businessy job, got disillusioned, quit everything, become a wanderer for a few years and started it specifically to teach youths and kids about life, nature and things beyond money. He just collapsed one day in the facility and that's it. When I was 9, I went fishing with my friend's family for the first time. We were in a mostly unused boat dock in the Colorado River. I remember being pretty upset it wasn't large enough for us to both swim and fish in, so we settled on just fishing, because the adults said so. The first catch of the day surprises me, I wasn't even paying attention. My rod almost jerks out of the sand before I catch it, and all the adults surround me cheering me on. A little bit passes, and I can't reel this thing in. A few adults try to no avail, it's clearly stuck on something. One of the adults goes up the ramp, to where the cars are parked, and runs back down to us freaking out. I don't catch what he says. But instead of going fishing, me and my 3 friends are taken for ice cream. It's great, best fishing trip ever. Even if I never got to see the fish I caught. Turns out the fish I caught was the dead body of a missing swimmer who was training for the Olympics, and somehow got caught in the reeds before being able to return to shore. I was in the newspaper for our little town and not even told about it for years. I've never gone fishing again. He and his brother were away at college. His father fell asleep with a cigar in hand, and the house began to burn. So far as could be determined, the father woke, went to get his wife, carried her downstairs, and made it to within a couple feet of the door. They both died, and the house was destroyed. Holy poop, what a sad story. R.I.P. In high school, a friend of mine was stopped at an intersection, when some lady rear-ended him. She was dicking with her phone and didn't even slow down. This pushed his vehicle through the intersection and pinned a girl waiting for the bus against a telephone pole, where she died. Holy crap, that must have been so traumatizing for your friend. My friend had another good friend of ours die in his arms after being shot 3 times from a drive-by. Even to this day, 9 years later, he feels like that they were meant for him and lives with some guilt. Survivor's guilt. He needs to speak to a professional if he hasn't already. I had a friend who I went through elementary school and middle schools with. He moved away in the middle of 7th grade and our friend group was heartbroken, but figured we'd see him again. Last week, he was shot in the head by his friend who was showing him a gun and pointed it at him as a joke. He was 18. My mom is friends with a kid's dad that did this. He was showing his friend his dad's old World War II gun and they didn't realize it still worked. Blew his head off and changed the kid's life. I don't have anything against someone wanting to own a gun. But there are too many people who own guns and don't even follow basic safety, for example locking and hiding it when you have kids or honestly even other untrained adults in the house. She was cycling through London and a bus hit her so hard she came off, landed on head, and died. She was also quite literally the last member of her family. Both her parents were only childs and had both died of cancer, and she had no siblings. Her death was the end of her family tree. She was 23. I know someone that happened to yesterday. I don't know the details yet, all I was told was a road accident involving their bike and a bus. They were an amazing semi-pro cyclist, so I struggle to believe they were at fault. I'm sorry for your loss. I guess the only solace is it sounds like she died instantly. 2 of my good friends, twins, got in a car accident. They were upside down in a wooded area. The one brother died instantly, while the other was upside down for 3 hours until someone saw their car. And I miss you. As a twin, this really resonates with me. The thought of having to hang upside down next to my lifeless brother for 3 hours sounds absolutely horrifying. Yeah, I'm so sorry for what happened, and I hope your friend is doing better now. A friend of mine was murdered, shot 14 times. He was left for dead on somewhat remote road. He was 15. It's hard to deal with friends going out like that. Thanks for your kind response to my comment. Wish there was something more I could say, but I have a hard time finding the right words here. My friend was in his senior year of high school. He was in the middle of class, and his heart just stopped, I guess. He collapsed and everyone just stared, frozen, unable to move to help him. Except one guy. By the time it hit everyone else that they needed to do something, that kid had jumped out of his seat, ran down the hall, grabbed the AED, ran back, and put it on him. It worked. My friend was airflighted to the hospital, where he did recover, but doctors still don't know why it happened to him. If it hadn't been for that one guy's quick action, I don't think my friend would still be here. What would have been your answer or question? Leave it in the comments below. Slap that like and subscribe button for more, and check out the link in the video description for even more answers. Peace out, and catch you in the next video.